Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is my 2025 Season 4 recap. Gonna dive into kind of the last 3 weeks of the season. I've got that magical F4 race at Aragon up here as the last race I covered in the last video. This one's gonna be relatively addendum short because I've got a lot of videos I need to film with 2026 buyer's guide stuff, overviews on the Road to Indy ladder system on the sim, a lot of other things. I'm gonna do the track guide for Road America for week 1 of the Indy Next Road series, so I've got laps filmed across 3 different cars for that. So that'll be going up, I believe, before the weekend, either on this channel or P1 Broadcasting. I haven't decided where I'm gonna do that just yet. I think for visibility's sake, I might put them on the P1 channel, but selfishly, to some extent, I'd like to have more consistent uploads on here, just to have a bit more of an expected flow here. But we'll see. I've got a lot of ideas as to stuff I want to do here, and only so little time. So today's the day I'm gonna film this. I'm gonna film all the other stuff I need to film, as I'm gonna be out of town come the weekend. So let's just get started here. Relatively quiet couple weeks to round out the season. I believe I picked up 4 tracks before we left the 2025 Season 4 season of official competition. 5. I picked up 5. I forgot about. Okay. So let's start with the first race of the next week, as I believe. Yes. So that'll be Scuba 2000 full in Legends Road Cup. Did this race happen? No, it didn't. All right. That would explain a lot. USF 2000 at Lime Rock Park Grand Prix. This was a lot of fun. Jarrett went off at the top of the hill, coming down, the far side of the track after the chicane. He chopped it wide, hit like the manhole cover at the end of the strip and spun, and I managed to survive. I was leading a good bit of the race. Unfortunately, caught a lap car with coming to 1 to go, I think, and then was side by side with Carl Cube heading towards the chicane, and I was essentially forced straight wide because I was put all the way to the outside of the track. Managed to keep the car pointed in the right direction, still finished second ahead of Logan Edwards, who had to work his way through the field to pick up the win here. But Lime Rock Park in this car is kind of just a classic. It's a very much you can stay in the tow and be relatively close and work your way solidly through the chicane every lap. You have a shot at putting up a good result or winning the race or what have you. So it was a lot of fun getting out there and having a good time at another kind of classic track for the USF 2000. I've got some good news going into season 1 of 2026 regarding the series, so very much looking forward to building some momentum heading off into the new year with this one, even if I don't wind up running the full schedule, which we'll get to in my 2026 season 1 plans video that I'll have up as well. Then came the SCCA runoffs qualifier. This is the qualifier race I ran to make it in the show. Came down to myself, Alex Miller, and Nagisu Yoshikawa for the rest of the podium. Just kind of a bunch of very short-sighted moves in the closing couple of corners to kind of switch up the podium finishing order here. Ultimately was able to drive a damaged car off the final corner up the hill and keep it 4th, but disappointing kind of end of the qualifier race there, which kind of boded for the rest of the week. As far as that series was concerned, I ran Legends Road at Scuba, ran my 1 race of the week, won it, lights to flag from the pole. I took a Sunday drive in Japan. I don't know what it is about me in this track or this location in this car. I just have something that works with me in the Legends car at all the Scuba configs. So if I needed to go farm a metric poo load of iRating, I think this would be a pretty good track for me to do it. But such is life. Then came the BMW M-Power Challenge at Catalunya. I finished second here. This is my first M-Power race of the season. I was in contention to win this. I got dove coming at the end of the kind of the middle straightaway before the last couple of corners, and couldn't. I just wasn't expecting the move, to be quite honest. And Nicholas Rao got by me and ended up winning just barely coming to the line. But can't beat myself too much over it, especially given that I haven't put a ton of time into the M2 this season. I think maybe coming into 2026, we might put a bit more time in the M2. There's a couple tracks that I have at least marked as potential pickups, especially early on in the season. We'll get to that in another video. But second place in the debut appearance for the season wasn't too shabby, all things considered. It was relatively clean between myself and Nicholas, so we had some fun there. I got convinced to run Pro 2 Light at Wild West. I ended up finishing second here. Not much to say about it. I just struggled to start this car off the line and then build momentum in it fairly slowly. So as we saw, Jerry Turner kind of pulled me out and got the best of me, and his iRating reflected him being a bit stronger than I was. So certainly a lot of work to do in the off-road stuff. I'd like to at least run one off-road series heading into 2026, but we'll just kind of have to see with everything else going on how that fits in. Still working through week number 10 here. Indy Next was also at Lime Rock Park that week. I got passed by Augie Scrippa in the closing stages. I think he caught me through another lap car situation. Ultimately, I feel like this track's a bit too small for the Next. I wasn't perfectly on the money here, pace-wise, as you can see. There's definitely a bit more time in it, but I was just clicking off consistent laps running my race. I enjoy the Next car a lot. It's just I've got to get more comfortable, more consistent, and that'll come with more time. I only ran a total of 8 races in officials in the Next, but I do plan on making a number of more appearances come 2026. That is for sure. Dirt Legends, that I know didn't go official because there was only 2 official races all week, and we'll get to that later. Ferrari 296 Challenge at Catalunya, that one did not go official. I know that for certain because I am undefeated in that series. Dirt Legends, that didn't go official either. This is BMW M Power again. I don't think this one official did it. Nope. Dirt Legends, nope. Ferrari 296 Challenge at Catalunya. This did. Lights to flag from the pole. I found something in this car that works for me well enough that I can pull races together. We'll see this a bit later, coming later on this season when I pull out another victory and go 5 for 5 in my inaugural season of Ferrari 296 Challenge competition. I've gotten it just enough where I can kind of hold my own against relatively solid drivers. Nothing crazy, super crazy pace wise. I'm still a good ways off in terms of full on pace, but I think a lot of that just has to do with my not quite as tailored skill set to sports cars. So we'll take the success we've had in Ferrari Challenge and kind of move forward with that in the tip of the cap. Did some testing in the Porsche Cup this week, Adelaide, and I thought that the new Porsche Cup handles great. And I'm not a sports car guy, that says a lot. So going from there, there would have been, I believe, this Beetle Lights race at Sonoma. Finished second here. Been a minute since I've done any sort of rallycross stuff. I did this with my teammate Taikila, who debated me. This was this time slot, this exact time slot went official for Dirt Legends, and we missed it. So I had to convince my gang of friends to come run Dirt Legends again later on this evening, and we'll get to that later. But rallycross is fun. I need to drive more dirt road, I think, especially with Lucas Oil Off-Road. I did a bit of testing in the Pro 2 Light there last night, and that's a good bit of fun. So definitely looking forward to that if I can get around to it. We finally get a Dirt Legends race at 9:45 p.m. It came down to myself and the Prodigy, Andy Kirkenbauer, for the win. Ultimately, he made contact, and we both spun off the final corner, and he was nice enough to willingly give it back. So shout out to him. This leaves me with one dirt oval left to complete, and that's going to be Port Royal, which I've already got a number of weeks lined up next season that I see that Port Royal's in play. So I will definitely be going for that. Um, yeah, not too much to be said here. I put a good bit of practice into this one and being able to keep pace with Indy until, well, Indy got caught up in a lap car situation and had to work his way back to me. But I do think that I ultimately had the recipe for success by and large here at Lucas Oil. So we'll take what we got, but good bit of fun with a lot of the Vote of Racing guys and my teammate Ty and everybody else going on here. So that's another track for week number 10. That's the second one of that week. And we'll get to the last little bit of that there. Indy went on to win Beetle Light at Sonoma. I finished second. I mean, nothing to sneeze at. We've racked up the whole podium between myself, Indy, and Mason Mitchum. Good bit of fun. Definitely, I've got a lot of work to do pace-wise on dirt road for sure to really kind of level up, but I also haven't spent a ton of time practicing or doing any sort of big pushes on dirt road, but that's where that time was spent. We did another one. I think this one I got wrecked I think I got straight line coming up the hill at some point and just couldn't hold on to my car and fell down to 5th, but we still had a good bit of fun. It's hard to really hit yourself too hard when you're having a bit of fun jumping around and driving around the dirt with your friends. The SCCA Rodos, I qualified on the front row and nearly ran over Jarrett Corey in turn number 5 on the opening lap and lost a ton of momentum. Fell back down to about 6th or 7th off the lead pack. Myself and Christian Flagg worked our way back to the lead pack, and as soon as I got there, Mauricio Parada spun it coming through turn 13, and I unfortunately had nowhere to go and barely avoided hitting the left side wall coming through there. I was able to carry on and hold on to a 7th place finishing position. Ultimately, it's Road America and relatively low horsepower formula cars, and the only person who really was able to do anything to pull away from the draft was Gilles Genet, I believe is how you pronounce that, winning the broadcast race here for 2025. He just had all the cars behind him fighting for position and eventually was able to pull away, and guys like Christian and Luca J. Becker were able to stay in it. You know, you guys like Rhett Nichols, Lilac Zier, glad to see she got a good finish in this race. Tyler Langenberg from IndyCar fame. Everybody else seemed to have a bit of a, you know, guys like Alexei Sarginko. It's been a while since I've seen him out. You know, Jarrett, Alex Miller, I think somewhere in here. Just it's very, yeah, there he is. Benjamin Carlisle. I didn't even know he was in this race, but all things considered, I mean, it's unlikely I do this event again. I think it'll be at Road America once more, and do I really care that much trying to go for this one again? I'm not quite sure, but we'll just have to see. Maybe I have a different opinion of it come next year. Then it came to week number 11, which would be Weedsport week and Rudskogen week. So the first race I ran that week would have been, I believe this would have been Monday night. Is this Monday night? I have no idea. 305s at Weedsport, finished 4th. Qualified at the back, so I had to work my way through the field. Not entirely sure what happened in this race. I'm sure a number of collisions happened, but Weedsport, interesting track. If you watched my track tier list video I already posted, it ranks relatively low. Just seems really awkward every time I raced it that week. Not quite sure if it's just the track or the track state or the sprint car there or what, but rough going. Legends at Rudskogen, that didn't go official, unfortunately. What the heck? 305's a Weedsport again. Guarantee this is a crash. Yes, 2X. I got sent into the fence, I think, in this one. So that's 101 I rating down the drain, but that's dirt oval for you. Then another one, Gavin Chatham. You score the pole, you win. Pretty much is how these races seem to go pretty much all week. He was going back and forth with Josh Pearson for a couple laps, I believe, and then ultimately was able to grab the lead and start pulling away, and that's all it takes in dirt oval 305 sprint car land to win races for the most part, with very limited exceptions in my experience. Then we had, I believe, nope. How about this one? Nope. Definitely, Weedsport definitely struggled. I was surprised to see it struggle for participation. Another second place finish to Riley Burr this time. I qualified second, had nothing for him. You just get in the groove here at the front of the field and you seem to be magically faster than everybody else. I'm not sure if that's just skill issue or if that's genuinely how it works, but yeah, take a second place there. Not too much to say about that. And then we've got USF 2000 at Oschersleben. Was this week number 11 still? Yeah, okay. Jarrett Corey once again winning. He went on to win the championship, as I believe I alluded to at some point in time. Made contact with Carl Cube on the opening lap, did some damage to my front wing, and basically just had to hold on to my car the rest of the race. Not too much else to say about it. Oscherslaben's a good bit of fun. I saw Justin Skruczynski kind of struggled here. Just given the state of the USF car, I do still need to go back and kind of film my USF 2000 video for those interested. I think I'll definitely keep that one on the personal channel, but definitely need to kind of fill people in on what's going on with this car. It is kind of a very bizarre entry, especially in the modern Formula car landscape. If you're more familiar with F4, it definitely is kind of the polar opposite in terms of the way you've got to approach it, but I think it still falls in much more in line with more modern, like the Indy Next machine. It helps contextualize that a bit better, in my opinion. Another 305 at Weedsport, finished third. Started fifth, stayed on the lead lap, not really sure. I think this must have been another one where guys crashed into each other or something. I don't really know, and I don't really care. It's Weedsport. Hooray. We turned left. It happened. Rudskogen and the Legends. This one went official. It was the first race I ran this week. Neil Doolin. Shout out Neil Doolin. This is the second race I've finished second to him this season. I think the other one was at Navarra Speed Circuit Medium, in which he timed the block down the front stretch perfectly, and I couldn't do anything to him. But, yeah. Rudskogen, this track's a good bit of fun. I obviously led a couple laps. I stayed a bit closer to him in the opening stages and just eventually fell back. I think I had to maybe serve a slowdown penalty at one point. But, yeah, I think I did. Opening couple of corners, I think I got shoved in a bad spot or pushed out wide and had to serve a slowdown. That ultimately took me out of that race. But nonetheless, I think it's a good track. It's unfortunate that it's one that doesn't get used super, super frequently outside of Rookie Series. But followed that up with another start. The slot after that went on to win. That one had a good race, I believe, early on with Chris Nicotra. But ultimately, I think he had to serve a couple slowdown penalties or suffered a spin or something at some point. But this is a good track for this car. I'd be more than willing to throw this on another schedule or two, outright, or just race it in general. I think we have it on the USF 2000 schedule this coming season, so maybe I'll give it a rip for that. But yeah, super cool. We'll see kind of how that schedule plays out with the emphasis on free tracks for USF next season. One less oval slot will probably help me if I want to do another full season of it. But yeah. And then we're still in week 11. I made my trip to the Barber Motorsports Park in Indy Next. Made it back to 5,000 iRating just to lose it the very next week at Sebring, but we'll get to that later. Jack Sullivan, holy crap, he was fast. I knew that this entire race I wasn't going to have anything for him. His qualifying time was miles faster than mine, over a second. I thought maybe Romano D'Angelo, I was running with him for the bulk of the race. I thought maybe I'd have something for him. Unfortunately for him, and fortunately for me, he spun coming off of turn 5, Charlotte's Web, the hairpin, with 2 to go, and I stuck by him. And ultimately was able to hold on to the second spot come the end of the race, and that was it. It's my best finish in Indy Next officials so far. Hopefully looking to do one better a couple times this coming season, but we'll just have to wait and see. Very much looking forward to that. Then we move to week 11. I woke up nice, bright and early. No, I didn't. That's a late nighter. I woke up nice and bright and early on Friday morning and won this race. Everyone died at the end. Pretty much sums up this race. To quote one Patrick Starr, I want to say I caught a lap car who just about killed me in turns 3 and 4. I head down the front straightaway because I was on the outside of this lap car. And he like moves up multiple lanes and nearly runs me over, basically. Come around towards the front stretch, heading into 1 and 2, and then I see like every car, barring Sam Smith Davies here, just in the fence, upside down, rolling or something, and they all had to go pit. So I was basically the only car on the track for a handful of laps while everybody was towing and getting repaired. And I won. And that sums up Weedsport. Not a very good track. It didn't seem very good, even in the 305. I can't imagine it's that much better in anything else. Maybe Dirt Legends. Honestly, I'd love to see a Legends race here. Maybe that makes it better with the lower horsepower and the fenders and stuff. But goodness me, the track's not that great. It's not quite as bad as Kokomo in my opinion, but still very, very rough. So that was week 11. We moved to week 12. I got roped into another Wild West race by Mr. Mitch Mason. It was basically me and him. We showed up, had fun. I had a bit more pace than he did, and I went on to win. And that is how Pro 2 Light at Wild West went. I didn't need that one. But, yeah, so I guess to sum up week 11, we picked up Rudskogen in the Legends car with multiple victories. Actually, there was 2 victories I had that week. Did we get to the other one? Yeah, here's the other one. I think I might have skipped over this one. But again, lights to flag from the pole. I walked Zachary B. Wolf, who I've seen a couple times across the surface between Dirt Legends, Asphalt, or Asphalt Road and USF 2000. So it's been cool seeing him kind of seemingly follow me around a little bit, but very, very cool. And then we've got still working week 12. I added a Sebring early in the week. Victor Couto won this race. I had nothing here. I think this is my 8th race ever at full size Sebring. I don't jive with this track. It's like it's got street track vibes, but like the braking zones are a little weird. I've just got a lot of work to do, I think, in the next car, across the board. But we'll see. I think a lot of it's just lack of familiarity and trying to get to grips with newer tire models. I think that's been my big struggle that I've noticed last season is there hasn't been a huge update to the USF in a while, and obviously that's one of my regular appearance cars, so it handles a bit differently on colder tires and whatnot than you can on some of these newer cars. So it's just a different experience. I followed that up later that evening with Legends Road Cup at Charlotte for week number 12. I basically just stayed in contention with the front 2 here and Eli Hinton and Jared Kaylor. Ultimately, I tried making a pass on Eli the same way Jared got by him, and he blocked off the avenue I had there, and we ended up getting into a bit of a argy-bargy side-by-side for the closing lap or so, but he ultimately got out on me. Not super peeved off about it. I ended up finishing 5th in the series championship anyway, and I think I was the highest ranking driver from North America, so that was fun. I think that there was a lot of people that turned out specifically for that track that week, so it's good to see that one be a relatively popular one. And yeah, not too much else to say. Then we've got M2 at Magny-Cours. I had nothing for Max. I served a slowdown nice and early. That really took me completely out of contention in this race, so I just managed to hold on to the 2nd spot here. I'm not super peeved off about this. I didn't put in the work that I needed to do to be good here, and I ultimately did kind of similar things in the Ferrari Challenge race that was to follow. I believe this is the same day. Yes, multiple hours later, 5 hours later, in fact, I went and ran Ferrari Challenge there. I threw this race away almost on the first lap. I half spun it through the chicane in the middle portion of the track. Managed to keep the car pointed the right direction and made it back by Bird Enigma and Shane Wiseman. I wasn't consistent here at all. That was a big weak point for me. I definitely, if I'm going to do the Ferrari Challenge car more, I need to get more consistent with it. I did some practice laps yesterday at Miami. Wasn't very good there, but that Miami track is very, very difficult even in cars I'm much more familiar with. given the testing I did for USF, just to confirm lap counts and whatnot there. And that's the season. I'm gonna hop on over to my spreadsheet to kind of show off. That is not my spreadsheet. That is me reviewing my own video to make sure I knew where to start for this one. But we ran 106 races. I want to say I won a little under a third of them. Let's get the irstats.net. I want to say I racked up like 34 wins in the season. Let's see here. I need position equals 1. So we started off with, way back when, at the start of this season, would have been Legends Road Cup at Snetterton, and we wound up finishing off with Ferrari Challenge at Magny-Cours. So if we take all that into account, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 34 wins in the season, which puts us at a percentage of, I believe it was 106 races, 32%, 32.07 or 08, depending on how you round it. A little bit worse than I did the season prior, but I also spent a lot of time getting junked on dirt ovals, and I think if I took out races I crashed, that percentage would be a bit higher. But obviously, I had a much more jam-packed season with broadcast coverage and getting acquainted with new machinery, doing some new things. But ultimately, from the outset, we had 7 tracks that we wanted to tick off in particular that were either on the USF 2000 or Legends Road Cup schedule. Missed out on 2 of these, one of which was Zandvoort. I finished on the podium both races I did at Zandvoort and USF. I believe that was a 3rd and a 2nd, respectively. I need to learn a lot of these new tracks a lot better. That's one thing I definitely determined there. There's a lot of pace I need to find at especially the F1 tracks, kind of the Tilky Towns as I like to call them. But then Five Flags had one official race in USF that week, so that was it was on a day I wasn't even home, and I had no intentions of running an asphalt oval race in season 4, so that kind of dropped that one by default. But ultimately, nothing too much to complain about. And we'll look at kind of point standings. This is different for me. I haven't run a really popular series in a while for my point standings, and Indy Next was obviously fairly popular. I believe it outclassed the F3 Fixed Series by like around 200 participants. I want to say F3 pulled around 7,000. Indy Next pulled about 7,200 on the road side of things. So that was cool to see. We'll see how that kind of transitions heading off into the new year. But I finished 5th in USF 2000 points. I mean, mostly this just came down to not running a week to back up my atrocious performance. I guess atrocious performances at Watkins Glen and Oulton Park. Didn't run any of the ovals. I didn't run Bathurst early on in the season. Maybe it would have given me some more opportunities to kind of patch that up, but no dice there. If we move to Indy Next Road, I ran exactly 8 races. I ran 1 every week I desired to drive. I dropped Spa, VIR, Red Bull Ring, and Suzuka. VAR and Suzuka due to them being wet, and Spa and Red Bull Ring being due to I don't really like those tracks very much, as I learned through running them in other series. And then Legends Road Cup, I held on to a P5. I believe Charlie England was kind of eking me out in points a little bit through the last week, and I thought maybe run a couple more slots to try to pick up a couple more points, but he ended up averaging down due to the iRacing point system and finishing right behind me in points. So I held on to a top 5. That means I have 1 license class left to get a top 5 overall in, and that's Dirt Road. And that'll probably lead into 2026 plans, which I will film right after this. But Appreciate you guys for tuning in. That's the bulk of what I had to say on the season. If you watched the track tier list video, I believe we had 28 tracks this season, which is a greater amount than I had the season previous, which means that that's the new one season record for me. 28 tracks. If we go all the way back to week number 1, I'll recap them all now. So that was Ferrari 296 Challenge at Portimao, which was a pickup for both at the time because I had never run the Ferrari Challenge car before. Then week 2, we had the Kia at the Nürburgring Combined, the Legends car at Coda West, the Dirt Legend at Eldora, the limited late model at Cedar Lake, which is a pickup for both, and then the Subaru WRX STI at Charlotte Rallycross, because I had to recomplete Charlotte. That was a pickup for both of those as well, as alongside with the Dirt Limited Late at Cedar Lake was a pickup for both. Made my debut appearances in the Limited Late, and I found that's a fun car. Week 3, we went and solo ran Renault Clio at Kansas because I could not be bothered to care about running a proper race at the Kansas Roval, dare I say. Track's not that great, but I'm glad that it was there to give some people something different, something fun. Then USF 2000 at Red Bull Ring National. That was the first of a couple wins this season at that configuration. Then picked up a Dirt Limited late model win that same week later on at Bristol. That was the track ticked off there. We moved to week 4. We had the Legends car at Bathurst, the 305 Sprint car at the Charlotte Dirt Track, and the Dirt Legend at Lernerville. That's a third of the way through the season already. The Ferrari 296 makes another appearance in week 5. That took place at the Bend. We picked up USF 2000 at Sonoma in the second start that week, following getting absolutely smacked by Jarrett Corey in the first race. Week 6, we went back to the Dirt Limited late model at Lincoln. That was following an intentional wreck race earlier on that week when I had a shot to win. And then the 305 Sprint car at Knoxville, following 9 previous starts, I was determined to get that one done. If we move off into week number 7, we picked off the one track that I had marked as a possibility that week. That was the 305 Sprint car at Fairbury. In the first start I ever made at the track, that was another one of those that I managed to do throughout this season amongst a slew of others like the Lernerville race and the Legends car earlier. Week 8 saw the Ferrari 296 Challenge back at Thruxton. That was a fun one. Definitely would love to run Thruxton again at some point. Mazda MX-5 at the Hungaroring. That's my third win in the Mazda ever, and my second start at the Hungaroring. That was a good bit of fun. F4 at Sandown in the Asia Pacific Tour. Barely held on to that one. Definitely have a lot to learn in that F4 machine. Week 9, we went to the 305 Sprint car at I-55. That was my second start ever there. I think it was my highest strength of field win this season. If we go and look here, I think it's the second highest all time. That it is. I-55. And then we have the Kia Optima at Le Mans. And then the F4 at Aragon. We got lucky one more time there as well. I suppose I should be looking at weekly calendar here. So that was week 9. So week 10, we had the Ferrari 296 at Catalunya. That'll be this guy right here. And the Dirt Legend at Lucas Oil. That took place Friday night at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we headed off into week 11, in which we saw the 305 Sprint car at Weedsport. Would have been this guy right here, the 6th attempt that week. And then the Legends at Rudskogen, in which I won, I believe, these 2 races here. And then finally, we headed off into week number 12, in which I picked up the win in the Ferrari 296 Challenge at Magny-Cours, which would complete 106 races run on the season. And I believe that like 34 some odd number of victories that we picked up this season. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this series on the channel. I'll be following this up with the 2026 Season 1 plans video. Kind of talking about some of the stuff that I've got cooking, both from the community management side as well as the just what I'm racing side and everything else in between. Hope to catch you on the track heading off into the new year here on iRacing. Have a good one, everybody.